You're going to walk away from this video having a completely different relationship with yourself and relationships as a whole. I'm really excited for you to go through this process. And also, we're going to be talking about a lot of different beliefs you have in relationships or about yourself that may not be serving you anymore. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Kevin Crenshaw. I also go by the Heart Guy, and I help people with matters of the heart. Self-love being one of those things. This is actually part 2 of a 12-part series on healing codependency and finding self-love. And this used to be a paid course for $3,000 that's now here on YouTube for you for free. I'm doing that for 2 reasons. Number one, I think a lot of stuff on YouTube is just educational, and I wanted to change that to transformational work. And also, I felt a pull to give back after I realized how much was gifted to me in my transformational journey over the past decade. And so without further ado, this is one of my favorite parts of this course because we really dive deep really fast, and this gets into that process. And if you haven't watched part 1 yet, be sure to do that. It sets the foundation for the work we're going to do in this video. So with that, let's get into it. We've got 3 things we're going to be talking about today. Number 1, where stress comes from and how to deal with it, right? Stress is something that all of us deal with. So how do you deal with it and not let it control your life and consume you and be engulfed by it and live a stressful life? Because nobody wants that. So it's a really important topic. Also, building trust. How do you learn to trust again and trust your emotions and trust yourself? And then the power of being present and how to deal with it. So we all know the power of now, like we can't control the past, we can't control our future, so we need to act in now. Well, that's all conceptual and that's all great. Well, I'm going to help you in that conceptualness to understand it a little bit better so that you can actually embody it when we're doing the work throughout this program. So let's get started, shall we? I have tons of notes. I hope you take notes too. Now let's break this down. So stress, okay? What is it? Stress can be defined as, a lot of people say that it's like it's an emotion. Like I feel stressed, right? And usually when we say I feel a certain way, we're relating to an emotion. So let's break this down. What then is an emotion? An emotion is simply energy. An emotion is an energy. And energy just simply wants to move. So it's something that wants to move through you, whether you not getting woo-woo on you guys. It's just this energy wants to move. Emotions are energy. Energy wants to move. Stuck emotions cause stress. I'm going to say that one more time for you people in the back. Emotions are energy. It's just a humanness being of an energy. And energy wants to move. Through science, if there's more movement, that means more energy. Less movement means less energy. And stuck emotions, so less motion, causes stress. Now, stress is simply stagnant energy. Nothing's moving through you. Stress, then, is not an emotion, but a lack of. So when we say we're feeling stressed, we can essentially say, I'm not allowing my emotions to move through me. And an emotion is to emote things, to move things, to express in motion a feeling. To express a feeling in motion. So let's break this all down. I know I talked about it a lot. I just want to make sure that you're kind of grasping this and getting this, because again, this is conceptual stuff that when you really see this perspective of it, it can change your relationship with love forever and your relationship with yourself forever, if you so choose. And if you do really want to dissipate stress, if stress is something that is causing a lot of problems in your life and you really want to be rid of it and deal with it for good, then this is really where the work is in reframing what stress is and how to deal with it. So emotions are simply energy. Energy wants to move. And stuck emotions just cause stress. So stress then is not emotional, it's a lack of emotions. It's a way of being caused by a lack of movement of energy. And a movement of energy is simply emotional embodiment and expressiveness. An emotion is to emote and to move, to express a feeling through motion. What's important about this is that you really want to embody motion through your motions. So that's why movement and moving things is so important. And it's interesting because stress and resentment or has been linked to cancer, and that is through the HeartMath Institute. I absolutely love this company. Definitely check them out, heartmath.org, I believe it is. They have a book called HeartMath Solution if you want to geek out on it. It reads like a textbook, so it's very scientific and numbery, but they did scientific studies on the heart and to show that the heart has an intelligence of its own, and your heart is actually talking to your brain, not just the other way around. And that's why I'm partially called the Heart Guys, because this stuff is so fascinating to me, and this is like cutting edge science research that the mainstream isn't really catching on to. Most people are so stuck on mindset. What's your mindset? And I'm all about your heart and your way of being. And I think that's the new wave of things, and the new way of loving is to be in your heart and not think and strategize your way to love and relationships. And we're trying to strategize things instead of being with things. And so the heart math talks a lot about that, and also the scientific studies of somebody who's grateful and what that does to your blood pressure and literally physically, chemically in your body what's going on versus somebody who's stressed all the time, what's happening. And they've linked stress and resentment to cancer. Check them out. And there's actually a free book in the link below where I typed out all my notes for this. There's a book that they have so you can skim it, or if you really want to geek the fuck out, like, go read it all. But that is a resource for you that you can use. I definitely highly recommend it to really dive into all this stuff. But stress basically equals cancer. You're gonna get cancer, not because of what you're eating, not because of your lack of exercise. It's literally stress. And stress is the number one cause for doctor visits. The underlying condition for why people are going to the doctor, I think their study was like something like 85% of the time, I can't remember off the top of my head, is linked to stress. You're feeling stressed, so then you have this ailment, and then they treat the ailment with medicine. And it's like, oh, I'm stressed, and then stressed for so long I get depressed, so, oh, I'm depressed. That means I have a lack of depression medicine. No, you're just simply stressed. And depression, listen, I've been clinically diagnosed for depression. I've been clinically diagnosed for ADD and ADHD, sleep apnea. Had allergies, asthma. I took breathing treatments, inhalers. I took 8 pills a day. Listen, I understand this whole world of pharmacy. I grew up in that, okay? And so for that kind of reason, the pendulum swung in the other direction, and I'm extremely anti-medicine. And there's a documentary on Netflix at the time of me recording this. I don't know, you'll probably be able to see it somewhere else as well, called Heal, Heal, and it's a documentary about intention, and that Dr. Joe Dispenza, you can also look him up. He has proven scientifically that your body can heal through thought alone. Intention matters, and motive is everything, and literally setting an intention to heal your body can do it. Like people that have had, like, oh, you're never going to walk again, and then they meditated, so long on healing, like on their body being normal, and their body became that. That's the miracle, and that's really the power that we have as humans that we're taught is outside of us. So look into those with an open brain, with an open mindset, if you will, and just see it. Heal is a documentary. Look into HeartMath Institute for all the stuff on this. But essentially what I'm getting at is that stress is bad. You already knew that, but if it's controlling your life, you're literally killing yourself. And it's not just affecting your relationships, it's affecting your physicality, your body, your health, not just your mental health, but your physical health. And it can very easily take over and consume your life. I was controlled by worry. What if insert worst case scenario here? What if, insert worst case scenario here? And I always was consumed with what other people are thinking of me, and what if this bad thing happens? And that literally controlled my life and all of my decisions. And so if we're always acting out of our hurt or our heart, and that was acting out of my hurt 100% of the time. We already know why decisions are made, but that's what was happening. And I was able to liberate myself through healing. But, that's how much stress can control you. And if you're living with a lot of stress right now, I'm going to share with you some stuff that's going to liberate you of that, some things that we're going to go through this program so that you can live and wire your brain and your way of being to be in congruent and alignment with your heart, so that you can actually be happy and be peaceful and not experience this stress. And stress is stuck energy. And that's why it feels frantic, because it's trying to move, and it's trying to move, and you're trying to shove it down, and you're like, no, 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 I can't do that. I can't do that. I gotta be strong. I can't do that. Blah, 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 blah. And that fight is creating more tension and more pressure. Think about what that does in a balloon, right? Eventually, so much pressure, the balloon pops. So much pressure, then you'll snap. You don't want to do that. So, essentially, how we get this stuck energy unstuck is you go from stiff to movement. You literally just start moving it. If I wanted to move this pencil that's on my desk right now, how do I do it? I pick it up and I start moving it, right? And there's sirens, so you'll get used to that. I live in Santa Monica, so sorry, that's gonna happen sometimes. So if you get a stress, that's literally just a signal to you and more awareness for you to move an emotion and let it out. Okay. Now, what gets in the way of this? Hey, I hope you've been enjoying the video so far. I just wanted to drop in and share that this process is one part of this course. The other part of this course that was when it was paid was coaching. It was accountability. We had a whole community going through this process together, and I'm doing that for y'all through YouTube as well. So check the link below to join the Telegram chat, and I'm doing free coaching in there from time to time on Zoom, and you can ask me questions if you're struggling with any of this, if you have questions about anything, and also to connect with lighthearted people, connect down below. And also, if this video is resonating with you, it's free, and I would appreciate you supporting my mission and sharing this work with people. And so share it with a friend if you feel like anybody else in your life could benefit from this. It takes 2 seconds. Just copy paste the link and send it to them. That would mean a lot to me. And also, if you haven't subscribed, be sure to do so. All right, let's get back to the video. Social conditioning, social constructs on the appropriate time to express yourself. That we can only yell and celebrate like fucking crazy if somebody wins the Super Bowl, or we can only laugh out loud if we're watching a movie. We can only cry if we're watching a movie. We can only, play like a little kid on Halloween. And it's like we have these times where we can only just, be ourselves. Okay, be yourself. Okay, you can be yourself. But the rest of the time we have to be an adult and be strong. Now, what the fuck? And kids get the okay on this. Kids get to be themselves all the freaking time and express themselves all the freaking time, and we encourage it. And then we get older, and it's like, no, now you have to be different. What the fuck? Kids get the okay with this, and they're free. They have what we want, which is emotional freedom and non-judgment of themselves. So, do kids seem stressed? No. Well, you're like, yeah, but they don't have bills, Kevin. They don't have this fuckboy that keeps talking to me, whatever it is. Yeah, okay, you're right. They don't have those responsibilities. I understand. Do responsibilities sometimes cause stress? Because, hey, guess what? Rent's due. Hey, guess what? Like, you've got to take care of this dog that you own now. Yes, I understand. But responsibilities shouldn't suck you dry of your emotional freedom. It's just being wise. And part of being even more wise is recognizing that, hey, I'm the only one judging myself. Sure, society's judging me, but when you get to the point where you love yourself so much that you don't give a fuck what other people think of you, that, my friends, is freedom, which is what you're looking for. You join this program because you want inner peace and confidence and self-love and a loving relationship. And guess what? You can't get into a loving relationship if you're constantly worried about what they're thinking about you. You're constantly judging yourself all the fucking time. So, social constructs get in the way of an okay time to yell, an okay time to cry. There's also good and bad emotions that we place on things. We label good and bad emotions when emotions just are. Crying, is that a bad thing? What if these bad emotions could just be beautiful? What if letting go and yelling, like letting your frustration the fuck out and punching a tree if you have to, and sometimes hugging a tree, what if that was okay? Literally the other night, I live in Santa Monica. There is a homeless population here, and I keep my windows open all the time just because I like fresh air. And I live on Ocean Avenue, so, there's tons of homeless people at night and stuff. Sometimes they yell and they're crazy, whatever. And I used to just blow over it and go, oh, they're just crazy, and kind of like just steer my awareness away from them and just head down, focused. Yeah, you do what you do. I know, people that live in New York, they're the same way. But sometimes they'll like yell and stuff like that. And the other day, it was in the middle of the night. Nobody was outside at all. And he woke me up and he was yelling. And I was in my sleep and I just kind of caught awareness, and I was like, my awareness just wanted to listen to him. And so I kind of sat with that, and I was just like, okay, well, I'm just going to listen. And, he you could tell he probably didn't have any teeth because he was a little muffled and his words weren't clear. But I felt so much compassion for this guy because I finally made out what he was saying. And he was yelling, I can't live like this anymore. I'm dying. And I just started breaking down and crying. And I was like, yes, brother, let it out. Because that's somebody who's going to change their fucking life. And, I don't know who he is. I don't know who it was because I didn't check. I don't know if he's still around or if he left and changed his life. But I'll tell you one thing. That's the type of leverage that's going to get somebody off their ass to bust through and make a change. And it was celebrated in my eyes, but probably deemed as inappropriate from somebody else. Could you call that a bad emotion? Emotions just are. And when we fill them to their extreme, we glorify these people that are fully expressing themselves in Hollywood, in, the people that we idolize, top actors, top artists, singers. Like the only time I can go crazy is at a freaking party at Coachella or whatever, right? Like, or only can be myself when I go to Burning Man because then they accept me. The reason that stuff is there is because you're not getting external judgment. And when you can let go of the external judgment, you can fully be yourself. And sure, some people will judge you negatively, right? But some people will also be like, whoa, that's an inspiration. I want to be like that guy. That's probably why he followed me. Because I have done so much work on myself. Because I cared so much about what other people thought for me for so long. And I finally let that go. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be myself. And the funny thing is, when I started being myself and I let go of the expectation of what other people are thinking, more people thought positively of me. But also, more people thought negatively of me. And I'm okay with me, and that's just me. And I'm going to guide you through that whole process in this program. So don't you worry. What I'm getting at, emotions just are. They're not good or bad. We have conditioned and socially labeled them as that. So emotions just are. And what if the emotion wasn't a bad thing? Something to think about. And the biggest thing that I can say here is that you don't need permission to be or do what you feel is true for you in the moment. If you feel it's right, if you feel it's true to do something, to be a certain way, to be sad, whatever, you don't need permission for that. You don't need permission to leave the relationship that you know is not right for you. You don't need permission to freaking marry the person that you want to marry. You don't need permission to pursue a relationship or to pursue a career or to pursue a passion of yours that goes against what your culture is telling you. There's so many examples of this, of people finally breaking that mold and going, I don't need approval from anybody else to do me. And listen, you probably have this fear, well, I don't want to be too much. I don't want to be an egotistical asshole. Like, I don't want to be stepping on people. Listen, you're in a program called True Love Accelerator, hosted by a guy named The Heart Guy. There is no way that you are going to allow yourself to get to that spot. Like, that's an extreme, okay? You have a pure heart. That's why you're in this program. You want the best for everybody. I genuinely believe that because that's what I want. And you chose me as a coach for some reason. I believe it's that. So you're here, which is like no self-worth. Maybe you've done more work, but there's like, okay, there's some things that you can still work on. You're not going to get to the extreme of being egotistical. You know, we all want this feeling of pride, and pride comes from like knowing who the fuck you are. You know, and I have gotten my place to that harmonious middle of two opposites where, you know what, I don't care about what people think of me, but hey, guess what? I do care about what people think of me, and because I care about my reputation. Because it allows me to help and impact even more people. So there's a lot here, right? We talked in the previous video about polarities. Well, there you go. You're never going to allow yourself to get to a place where you're stepping over people and being an asshole. That's not who you are, and that never will be who you are because of who you are at your heart of hearts. Okay? So please, that's never a fear that you have to worry about. You don't need permission to act on what you know is true. And we're still kind of like in 5-year-old mode asking, hey mom, hey dad, is it okay if I do this? You're an adult now, and we get to make our own decisions. But because of our past, I understand it gets in the way. Blah. Well, we're going to be healing all that in this program. Now, one thing that I do want to mention before I move on, I kind of forgot this part. It's on the side over here in my notes. Is kneading. I talked earlier about going from stiff to movement is super important, and embodying your emotions is super important. So actually moving, and oh, you mean I actually have to feel shit? Yeah, I do. And so that's a process called kneading. Now it's like kneading dough or Play-Doh, right? Like I wish I had some Play-Doh with me, but like it's stiff, it's there, and then you actually like knead it out, make it bigger, and express it, and then you get to shape it into whatever you want. And so it's kneading dough. And sometimes kneading is literally taking a rolling pin and slamming it down and applying pressure and changing things. And then sometimes, they throw it up in the air and they smack it on the floor or the table, and because, germs, and they smack it and they throw it around, they toss it around. That's the kneading process. Does that piece of dough get abused? Probably. And is it being turned into something great that can hold a lot of space for some amazing pizza? Yep. I'm hungry right now in case you didn't know. And so, it's the process. It's just like, have you ever had a pottery class? You refining the dough to be a pot goes through a furnace. Does that little piece of dough or that pot be like, that's going to be a lot of pain, right? But it's going to refine it so that it can be poured into and the water can go into it and actually hold. It's a refinement process for the end result. So kneading, and this kneading that we're going to be doing this entire program is going to feel uncomfortable, which is why I've set you up, and I've done a lot with building leverage. I've helped you a lot with leaning into it, not avoiding, put some heart into it. All of that stuff is important because just know that we're kneading. We're kneading out dough. I'm going to be tossing you around. I'm going to be rolling you out. I'm going to be making you into a perfect circle and the perfect thickness so that that you can really sprinkle on some cheese, maybe some gluten-free or vegan cheese, all right? And make your perfect pizza called your life. Great analogy, Kevin. So there's 3 ways that we knead. And Knead, by the way, not Need. Knead. Breath, voice, and body. So notice that a lot of that is like with your words. And your words are really all that we have in this lifetime. Like you're going to be remembered for how you made people feel, which yes, some of it is actions, but a lot of it is words and the power of your voice. So breath, that's speaking, like literally breathing. And that is depth and tempo of your pace and your depth of breath. So if you're stressed, chances are you're not breathing and your shoulders are down and you're I hate my life. Or chest is up and you're breathing deep and full because your diaphragm is there. And we're going to go through lots of breathing practices, but breathing, that's one thing. Super important. Also voice and vocalizing and using and expressing your voice to its fullest. Versus just right here because I don't want to upset anybody. Now, we've equated in social conditioning like raising your voice to a bad thing. And can it be? Sure. But also like look at acting. They're embodying an emotion, which is what gets us emotional, right? They're embodying it so heavily that it's getting us emotionally. They're embodying it so loudly that it's affecting us, and it's just an image on a screen that's moving. So take that in, how powerful you could be by owning your voice. That's speaking truth. That could be singing. That could be projecting the pitch and tonality of your voice. Because sometimes you do need to whisper. Because what you need to say is going to be attractive to somebody if you whisper it in their ear. Right? Like there's that sensual whisper. But then there's also that like, hey, I know who the fuck I am. And we almost clap for people who like own that skill. So we're going to practice voice. And so again, breathing, breath is speaking. Voice is really speaking truth, like speaking up for yourself. And singing, and actually literal expression of breathing. And your body socially is like dancing, working out, or actually doing, like whether it's heavy, like, construction workers, like physical labor. It could be cleaning up around the house. That is body. Having sex is body, which is the one that's closely embodying an emotion. Embodiment is to put it into your body. Your emotion into your body. And your emotion is just energy that wants to move. So it's like full movement. And again, like we have dance, we have working out. Like the people that do this to the extreme are the ones that have that level of freedom. Think about kids, right? Even if they don't know what the fuck dance they're doing, they're just expressing themselves, and it's so like you laugh because they're like their kids enjoying themselves. How would you feel if you could fully enjoy yourself all the time? That is a possibility, by the way, right? So not giving a fuck what other people think of you. And that's kneading. So breathing, voice, and body are the processes we're going to go through with kneading. Notice how none of that was understanding. It's not up here. It's here. It's here. It's here. Right? And that's the interesting part about a lot of this, because you can conceptualize love. You can conceptualize self-love. You can set boundaries and have effective communication. And I do all that work. But when you embody it, what it means to embody it means when you're not just writing things down and taking notes, when you're not just doing some of the homework that I give you guys, and you're actually being tested out in life, it's going to be like, hey, how are you going to show up right now? You have two options, hurt or heart, fear or faith. Are you going to put some heart into it, or are you going to cower it away? Every second of your day. And you could see that as an amazing opportunity, or you could see that as like being under pressure. It's all a perspective, because what you believe is what's true for you. Next part of the video. Switching over now. In control of emotions. Ooh, this is a good one. So like, well, okay, Kevin, well, I need to be in control of my emotions because I don't want to like go crazy, right? Because guys call me crazy a lot, and he thinks I'm too much. So I need to tone it down a little bit. Again, perception and judgment is that you're crazy because he's not allowing himself to play at your emotional intensity. Because maybe he's not done the work. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just a fact. Could be. So being in control of your emotions is a fleeting endeavor because it doesn't exist. You can't do it. And I mean, healing can help. Like healing can help you be in, okay, I'm going to respond and not react, because that's a big difference. Because just reaction is coming from a hurt. Responding is giving it a thought for a second and bringing your brain and your heart together, and then coming out of things, what would love do, coming out of the filter of your heart and acting in that way. But you can't necessarily fully control what's showing up for you. It's like the waves. So the name of the game is surrender. Surrender, surrender, surrender. What's showing up? I don't know, surrender. And it's kind of like this. So if you've seen my Unlock Love, been at Unlock Love, you kind of know this because I've already talked about it there. But for you guys watching, so it's like a circle. Your emotions are like a circle. So if I had a circle right here that was 100%, this is 100% maxed out. There's a dot in the middle. That's like 0. You're dead. No emotion. You're not doing anything. And so you're just a robot. Or up here is full expression. All right. Now, what happens for most of us is we get hurt, and so this is fear, this is joy, okay? And we get hurt and we go, fuck, I don't want to feel that again. So we try to shrink this side, but the dot is where my nose is, okay? This is a great demonstration, right? So full circle, dots on my nose with 0. So we feel pain and we go, oh shit, don't want to feel that again. And so we try to shrink this side. And what happens is it has to be a circle. You have to be evened out. That's just how your heart works. And so you can't like make the circle like
a D, shaped like a D. You can't just cut off all the negative emotions and only feel the good all the time, because then it's going to swing the other direction. It's like a pendulum. If you move it this way, because you just want to feel this all the time, you move the center of gravity, you move the emotional center over to the positive, it's eventually going to drop. Something's going to happen, because there's always change in life. That's a one constant, and there's always seasons in life. So then instead of just staying centered in full embodiment of all emotions, you move it over to the positive because you got hurt. Normal, right? But what happens is it slingshots the other direction, and then you're in this state of suffering where you're just feeling all the negative all the time. And then you try to go, oh wait, I gotta go to yoga so I can feel better. And then it just swings the other way. And then you're stuck in this back and forth, and you think you're crazy. It's literally just you're running from emotions. You're running from the negative emotions. Negative. See what I did there? Is it really a negative emotion? Is pain really negative? Because what if you could use pain? And what if pain could be the biggest gift of your life, so that you can see a different perspective and show up different? What if you could thank and celebrate pain? And what if it was okay to feel pain, because we're human beings and not human doings? And trying to fight the negative emotion is just going to leave you in this crazy syndrome, and you're going to go back and forth and try to balance things, and you're going to feel crazy all the time, and then people will call you crazy, and then you're going to speak into existence, and it's going to be your reality for the rest of your life until you do the work of healing. Now, you can just surrender to it and not swim upstream and actually allow it to balance out, which is what we're going to be doing. And so we can't really control the outcome of anything, but we can control how we show up, which is who we are. So if I go up to somebody and approach them, and I want to ask them out, I can't control if they're going to say yes or no, but I can control how I embody my emotions in the moment. I can control what I do and the words that come out of my mouth and how I'm showing up. It's up to them, because they have their own free will, to make a decision. So we can't control that outcome, right? It's actually impossible. I can't control how much money I make. I can show up different to make more money. I can be more of a go-getter by getting another job, or by, with what I do, it's a little bit different because I have my own business. For some people, it's like, cool, yeah, Kevin, but I can't control how much money I make. Well, you can control if you get a raise by how you're showing up. You can control if you get another job. You can start a side business. You can start a side gig. You can flip things. There's tons of ways to make money. Okay, well, it's how you're showing up, because you're being resourceful and showing up in a state of being, and you're being different. Can you control what money's coming through? No. And there's no guarantees, because nothing's certain, because you could lose a job tomorrow, today. The economy could crash again. We don't know. And so we can't control the outcome. Well, what about fitness, Kevin? I can control that. Not necessarily. We can control it to an extent, but what you can control is how you're showing up in the gym. If you push hard, you go crazy in a good way, and you're following a program and a system, you're going to get better results than the same person who's following the program and system and not pushing as hard, not as disciplined in their nutrition and what they're putting in their body. The discipline and pushing in fitness is how you get the results. It's a way of being, not just, you can't necessarily control the outcome. You can control the way of being. Am I getting clear? By me changing how I'm showing up and how I'm embodying my emotions in the moment, I can swing things in my favor, sure, for somebody to say yes and accept me and my date proposal, more so than if I were to just be so caught up in if they say yes or no, or be so caught up in the results. You almost kill the opportunity that's presenting itself in front of you, which is who you are in the present, which is my next thing that I want to talk about, which is the power of being in the present. Because when you're fully present and you don't give a fuck what happens, sure, you would like something to happen, but you kind of just don't care because you're so emotionally full, and we're going to talk about that in a second, and you're so present with the reality of what's happening right now, is when you usually get what you want. It's this weird paradox where when I let go of my expectations, I usually get it. And that's going against all of the stuff that society has been saying of be obsessed and be so focused and blah, and like always think about it. Well, yeah, you do need that as well. You do need to focus on where you're going. You do need to set goals and all that stuff. You can't just be aimlessly being. There's power with both. So you do need a goal set. You do need to have an option or an outcome and a goal. We did that in week 1. You set a goal for what you want to achieve in your relationship and also who you need to become. So the power now is being in the present and almost detaching from if that happens or not. Because that's ironically when we let ourselves be present to embody fully the emotions. And that's usually how we get it, is by being. So there's this weird thing. A lot of society thinks that in order for me to get something, to get an outcome, okay, a goal, right, I need to do the work. Then I will get the relationship. Then I will be happy. So it's do, get, be. And it's actually different. You have to be happy. Then you do the actions of a happy person, and then you'll get the relationship. And so that then shows the perspective that goals are based on emotions. So that relationship in that scenario, in that situation that I just described, means that the goal of getting a relationship is, I don't want the relationship. I want what that relationship I think is going to get me, which is a feeling of happiness in that scenario, right? Let's have a red Ferrari. Cool. I want a red Ferrari. And I want that red Ferrari because of what? Why do you want it? Because of what you think it's going to get you emotionally. So now you just embody that emotion. Now, in the present. And it's not faking it. It's just, how can you get yourself there now? A lot of that is gratitude. The world uses gratitude as a lot, actually, as a way to bring you back to the present. Because that's what gratitude does. Hey, focus on what you're grateful for. And feel it now. Feel it now. Presence. And so another thing that you can do is breathing. That's, psychologists have used that for a while. Is literally just and just breathing, close your eyes maybe, and be present with your senses. How do you feel? How does that make you feel? Those questions bring you to the present because they get you in the embodiment of a feeling. So surrender is the name of the game to your feeling, and you don't want to be swimming upstream at all, ever. Never a good thing, because then you're trying to control your emotions and control an outcome. And expectations hurt. Love doesn't. Love is surrender to and moving with. And if you can embody all of your highest self, all of your sides of yourself, embody fully your true and your truth in the present, fully here right now, not giving a fuck about what just happened, not giving a fuck about the future, present, right here, delivering to you. Moving forward with intention, integrity, and love. That, my friends, is the key to life. Right there, secret, boom, unlocked. Be your highest integrated self, fully present, right here, right now, and moving with love and integrity. That is life. That's the game. So, there you go. Being present is all we have. I used to be so focused on the future because I was trying to prevent things from happening. But your brain doesn't recognize positives or negatives. Your brain just recognizes an object. So if you say, I can't, or if you say, don't think about a pink elephant, you're going to think about a pink elephant instantly, because your brain didn't recognize the don't. So that's why, you do need to focus on what you want. There is something to be said about focusing on the negatives. So that's, in moving in the direction, being present, sure, move forward with integrity and love, which is moving forward, right? It is a little bit of like focusing on what you want. And I'm always becoming, but what are you becoming? So it does have direction for the future. Now, the past is there to teach you. The past is there where all of your healing and liberation can be found. All of your freedom, everything that you want, and everything that you want to unlock, everything that you want to embody, every lesson that you need to learn is in the past. And then you take those and bring them to the present so that you can get the outcome of your future. The present is all that we have, and it is how we create whatever we want to create for ourselves. So in putting some heart into it, it's everything 100% present. Because sure, there's power in going to the past, and we're going to be doing a lot of that. Sure, there's power of going to the future. We did that a lot in week 1, right? Now, embodying it, being present with things. That's what I talked about earlier in the first video of like not avoiding, is getting out of the present. It's not fully being present with reality, and that's what we're starving for. Think about it. Your ideal relationship is probably one where both of you guys are present as fuck. So we need to be present. And we usually say, you know, until is a word that we toss around. I'll be, or once I get that relationship, then I'll be happy. Once I, you know, deal with this drama, then I'll be happy. Once I get through with school, then I'll be confident. Once I, we kind of wait until something happens for us to be, then do, then you have it. And it's funny because having it doesn't even matter at that point because you're already being what you thought that thing was going to give you. And that thing is, having it is just a bonus. And that's a free life. So we don't take any of this shit with us. Everything that matters in life is your emotions and your relationships. Everything. Material stuff doesn't matter, but it does matter because we do live in a society that runs on money, and you know it's almost relatively close to oxygen in terms of need in life. I forgot who said that. So it's important. You know, being in this third dimensional stuff is important. Having nice things is important. We're going to be talking about that later in the program. But your emotions also matter because that matters more. You know, Tony Robbins says success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. Having all the stuff that you've ever wanted and being miserable as fuck is failing. A lot of you guys are in the program now because you're experiencing that. So I give you props for the courage to lean into that. And that's really where you master life and live a life of love and can create some magic in this world for yourself and others. So the last thing I want to talk about is trust. The T word. And I've always been a very open and trusting person. I've always saw the best in people. Sometimes that's gotten me hurt, sure. But I think it's a big blessing of mine. And just as much as it's important, I just learned, instead of learning not to to trust people less, somehow early on I had the wisdom to learn to see the bad in people too. Now, that might be a weird way of looking at it, but again, it's not a judgment. I'm not judging people. I'm just seeing what is. So I'm seeing what is, and I was always looking at the good in people. And then I always saw the bad in myself. And the irony of what I was doing was I actually just learned to switch, do the opposite, but also see the good and the bad in other people. And I saw the good, or the bad and the good in me, right? And removing labels and judgments, I just saw what was in other people and what was in me. And that's kind of a higher way of doing things. And in that space where I was able to confront myself with some things that I was not happy with, but I was also able to anchor to some truths of like, wow, I'm a powerful motherfucker. Like, I have an amazing heart and I care so much about other people. Because I didn't label it as good or bad. I didn't label other people as good or bad either. I just saw that they were how they are, right? And patterns can show you really who somebody is. Not just one instance and judging that side of them on how they show up when they're with you, but really getting the full side of the spectrum. And so this thing that I learned about trust is that, seeing the good in other people is a blessing. Seeing the bad in other people, quote unquote, with all this, is important, because then you can really see the reality for all of somebody and who they are and make a conscious decision. I have a breakup recovery program at the end of this course in the bonus section for you guys that maybe go through something during this process, or maybe you need to let go of something that's recently happened. And that's one of the things that we do is like, hey, how is this person not a good fit for you? because we're so caught up in the good times, which is great, but if that's causing attachment, it's not a good thing. And if you want to make wiser decisions moving forward, it is important to not be blinded by love. But what if love didn't have to be blinding? What if it could be seeing the truth even more and giving yourself that gift? Because that's self-love. And this quote that I heard about trust recently was that the only way to trust is to give it. The only way you can know how to trust somebody is by trusting them. Because you can't ever know with certainty. And I thought, that's so true. So we have trust issues because of our past. And we don't trust people now because of our past, right? So we asked for something and we thought we wanted, and then it wasn't what we wanted and it hurt us, and so we like, fuck, I can't trust myself now. Or we put our trust in somebody and then they betrayed us, whether it was a parent or a past lover. Healing can liberate you from all this, which I keep talking about healing because I really want you guys to understand that this process, like the power of this process and really what we're doing. And if you really put some heart into this, like, you'll liberate yourself. The only way to trust is to give it. And knowing that hurt people, sure, but they don't. Somebody else hurting you is a choice. Nobody can hurt you at all without you choosing. I'll prove it to you. Fuck off. Did that hurt you? Or were you like, why is he doing that? Because you could have done both. And when other people talk negatively to me now, I don't think, like, oh, they're right, like, I'm so horrible, because that's what I used to do, and I fell into that, and I would allow other people to hurt me. Not allowing other people to hurt you is having extremely high self-worth and self-love and self-respect, and being like, that's just their judgment on me, and that's their projection of me in the moment right now, and that's their own conditionings that they're imposing on me. Does that make it right? No. Oh, why are you saying that? Because nobody can hurt me but me. And this is the power of being in self-love. Because the external world and whatever happens externally doesn't affect you in a self-destructive way, right? Like, if somebody leaves you, if somebody dies, like, yeah, that does leave an impact on you. If somebody great comes into your life, that does leave an impact on you in a positive way. But at the same time, it's not going to destroy your life. It's not going to make your life if you're in a self-loving place, which we're going to get to in this program. Another way that you can know to trust, you can, yes, give it, but your gut usually knows. You're like, I knew it! Well, then why the fuck didn't you do it? Because of past conditioning. We already covered that. But we're so focused on our selfish desires and the outcome that we're trying to control because we want to control something. And guess what? If you let go of trying to control the external world and you start controlling your internal world, you're going to have all the peace of control and all the real control in the world, because you'll control yourself and not your emotions. I'm controlling how you react to things and how you react to certain emotions coming up. Self-control, discipline is self-love, and it's also very attractive. But if you're always focused on having an external outcome, that's needy. That's being a pushover. That's letting other people's opinions and happiness dictate your opinion and your happiness. You can only listen to your gut when you're present. If you're fully present, is the only time you can listen to your intuition and your gut. So when you have not the voice of stress, when you are expressing and needing, K-N-E-A-D, needing yourself, and when you're allowing your emotions and you're surrendering and you're not trying to control the past or the future, something that's outside of your control, you're controlling you and you're controlling the present by being present and being in control of how you're showing up and who you are as a person and embodying that now. That is when you can be present with your gut, and that's when you can listen to your gut. And then you can make the decision on trusting it, which, again, those decisions we learned about in the past, you're not in control of them at the moment yet as much as you can be. We're going to do the work in the process. Don't you worry. And the interesting thing about trying to control the outcome, this is my last point for the day in this video. The interesting thing about trying to control the outcome is it's not as important as we think it is. Now let me give you a story. So I'm actually going to read something. This is Alan Watts. He told us he's an amazing guy. Research him, do your work. This is the story of the Chinese farmer. Once upon a time, there was a Chinese farmer whose horse ran away. That evening, all the neighbors came around to commiserate. They said, "We're so sorry to hear your horse has run away. That's so unfortunate." The farmer said, "Maybe." The next day, the horse came back, bringing 7 wild horses with it. And in the evening, everybody came back and said, "Oh, isn't that lucky? What a great turn of events. Like how now you have 8 horses." The farmer again said, "Maybe." The following day, his son tried to break one of those horses, meaning ride it, and while riding it, he was thrown and broke his leg. The neighbors then said, "Oh dear, that's too bad." And the farmer replied, "Maybe." The next day, the conscription officers came around to conscript people into the army, and they rejected his son because he had a broken leg. Again, all the neighbors came around and said, "Isn't that great?" And he said, "Maybe." And it's funny because it's like, his son, father-son thing. Anyway, it's a joke at the end. But the whole process of nature is an integrated process of immense complexity, and it's really impossible to tell whether anything that happens in it is good or bad, because you never know what will be the consequence of the misfortune, or you never know what will be the consequence of the good fortune, because everything in life, my friends, has a consequence. Every decision. Getting into a relationship, even if it's the right one, has a consequence. Guess what? Because you lose somewhat of your independence. And now you have to be interdependent. Getting out of a relationship has a consequence. Why? Because you're going to go through a grieving process, and you're going to a ton of other things, slew of other things. Every decision that we make has a consequence. And does that mean it's good or bad? So the outcome of what we're trying to achieve then, does it mean it's good or bad? And what really doesn't matter at the end of the day? Maybe it's good. And so if it doesn't really matter as much as we think it is, or I think it does, and we can't really control it anyway, then why don't we turn our eyes inward to our internal world and surrender to our emotions and fully emote our emotions, so we're not living a life of stress, so that we can actually execute on this process that I'm about to have you guys go through. You can put some heart into it, and you can actually make a change in your life, and you can show up as a higher version of yourself, and you can be that who does the action that gets the relationship. It's all in who you are. And I'm going to share with you a little bit of tough love that's kind of diving into the next video, that you're attracting who you are, not what you want. And that's a little bit of tough dosage for you. But again, taking ownership, you can be like, oh, wow. So how am I showing up that's manifesting this? Because we gotta change that, right? And that's what next video is for. All right, you made it. This is going to be a dose of tough love. Now, lots of stuff that we've been talking about in week 2, and I really love week 2 just because it's a complete paradigm shift. Now, in my opinion, tough love is one of the best loves, because we fall in love because of our darkness. Now, what do I mean by that? Your best friend is your best friend because they know all your deep, dark secrets. People that you trust know your darkness and know your shadow. And we connect through each other's darkness, or mess ups, or fuck ups, or past history, whatever it is. And so because of that, it is important to deal with that stuff and work on that stuff, to be okay with it yourself so you can express it and have compassion for yourself. Now, in my opinion, a lot of the tough love is we're blinded by our own blindness. We can't see what we can't see. And so my job as your coach is to give you a little bit of tough love and maybe help you to see things in a new perspective so that you can give yourself the highest form of self-love possible, which is tough love and calling yourself on your own shit. You know, self-love isn't just sitting in bubble baths and self-care routines. That's self-care. Self-love is a deep respect, which does mean sometimes calling yourself out on where you're dropping the ball. And this video, like I said in the previous one, how you have those like barometers, like you only reach so much level of happiness, and then you dip here and you're kind of in this middle ground. This video is all about raising that standard so you can experience more, express more, and be more. Now, before we jump into this, I want to talk about that there's 3 levels of love when it comes to your relationships and your love life. Why I'm still talking about that is because awareness in your love life for right now, but also that you know it's how you show up for yourself. So there's 3 levels: take, trade, and unconditional. Now, number 1 is a taker. What can you do for me? What can you do for me? Are you gonna hurt me? What are you gonna do? What do you bring to the table? Does that matter? Yes, you need to look at that stuff. But if you're just looking at what you can get from the relationship, then you're just a taker. And you're using that person, and that's not good. Or number 2, trading. So I'll do this for you if you do that. You show up for me, then I'll show up for you. And that's, again, coming from your hurt. It's like trading, and it's like saying that you have to show me something, and then I'll love you. And that love is not something that's achieved. It's something that's allowed. And so unconditional love is, oh my God, I love you as a human. I'm going to choose to be with you. And I'm also going to have awareness on what's coming back, because I give myself that same unconditional love and respect, and I choose to go somewhere where I feel respected and honored. So if I feel respected, honored, filled up in this partnership, then perfect. But I love you as a soul either way. And that is coming from a healed place, which is, we're going to spend the entire program in the process going to that. Hopefully that gives you some awareness. And can I give you some tough love right now? Ooh, I'm going to drink some water. All right. Here it is. Ready? I'm attracting who I am. It takes 2 to tango. What you're writing down in week 1 from the patterns in your relationships, you are the constant in that. You don't get different by choosing different. You get different by becoming different. And it's not like, okay, they're a narcissist. That doesn't make me a narcissist. No. But you co-created that relationship. Somebody with more standards and self-respect wouldn't let that shit fly. And you did. Ownership, not blame. You don't want to beat yourself up for that. You want to take ownership so you can move forward. It's accepting it. Okay, that's the past. Well, guess what? I'm becoming different now. And it's not judging it either. It's not judging yourself. Damn it! Like I'm a weak suck. I'm so weak. I am entrapment. Fucking horrible. Ownership and acceptance. You have freedom to move forward. Blame and judgment entraps you in literally prison, and you're shrinking and you're trapped. And opportunities and learning is an ownership and acceptance. So accept the past for what it is. Take ownership for it, and that's when you can create a new future. But if you start blaming, you're going to be like, they did this. They were a narcissist. They were the one that fucked up the relationship. They cheated on me. Okay, well, there's 3 fingers pointing back at you. How did you co-create that? And maybe you drove them into the other person's arms, if you're being quite honest with yourself and laying aside your ego and your brain that just wants to be fucking right all the time. Put your ego down and see the truth of it from your heart. That's going to set you free. Or you can keep experiencing the past. You know, if you want to keep doing that, that's up to you. And I know some people might have a problem with that, so watch this video again. Because anger and resentment and holding on to something from the past is not a way to live. Unless you want to die angry and die resentful. Chances are you want peace and happiness and freedom and confidence. Doesn't come through anger. Now, is anger an emotion? Yes, but aggression is never the right answer. you know? So, I'm attracting who I am. I was attracting who I am. How about I was attracting who I was? That's a better way to put it, right? Because even from 6 minutes ago, from starting this video, you're a different person. That's how fast we're changing. You're getting a ton of awareness from me in this video right now. So you're changing, okay? That was the past. It's in the past. It's not you now. You're going to accept that that was the past. And you're going to take ownership, and now you're going to choose different. You did the best you did with what you could at the time. Now you have more awareness, so you can choose different. Yeah? So, 2 pieces of homework on this one. Number 1, self-love. I posted this on my Instagram quite a while back and got a lot of good feedback because I do this. And every time I've changed my life, like literally changed my life, I had an honest conversation with myself in the mirror. That's why I have a mirror right there. Literally why it's in the background, because everything in life is a mirror, but I talk to myself in the mirror every day. I stare myself in the eyes and I out loud, verbally, like a psycho, talk to myself. I call myself out on my shit. I praise myself. I have like a dialogue with my higher self. I have a dialogue with my inner child. We're going to be doing some more mirror work, but for right now, you're going to have some mirror work. You're going to go to the mirror and lock yourself in the bathroom for 30 minutes. No distractions. Your phone's off. Hopefully nobody else is home, because you're going to do a process. 3 things that you're going to do. You're going to call yourself out on all the bullshit in your life that's not serving you. Call yourself out as your higher self. This shit ain't happening. This shit ain't working. You need to stop doing this. You need to start doing this. Like, just chew yourself out. And then, so this is not just to beat yourself up, because you're already used to that. You're going to call yourself out. And then, number 2, I'm so proud of you for. I'm proud of you for. I'm proud of you for. I'm proud of you for all of your past and how you showed the fuck up for yourself the best that you knew how. The truth is. That's 3. So number 1, you're going to call yourself out on all your bullshit, on your low standards, your low operational shit that doesn't fly anymore. That's painful. You deserve better. And you're going to tell yourself that you deserve better out loud in the mirror to yourself. 2, I'm so proud of you for how far you've come. I'm proud of you for not giving up on yourself. I'm proud of you for leaning into the process. I'm proud of you for investing in True Love Accelerator. I'm proud of you for how much you care, how much you love. I'm proud of you for giving yourself that love finally for the first time in your life. Like, roll with it and stay with it and be with it, and don't think, be, emote. This is the process. This is when it starts. If you're up here, you're going to start thinking, and then you'll stop talking. So go on a rant, and the reason for that is to express and use your voice, because you probably haven't been using your voice and speaking up for yourself and a lot of times in your life. And this is an opportunity to do it with yourself, with nobody else around. You're the only one judging you. I'm not even watching you do this. And because I'm not even watching you do this, I'm going to trust the trust that you're actually going to do this, because this is the work. You're going to call yourself on all your bullshit. This shit doesn't fly anymore. I'm not okay with it. Then you're going to get pissed off. And number 2, I'm so proud of myself for this and this and this and this. The truth is, number 3, the truth is, you are such a loving person. The truth is, you are becoming so much better. The truth is, that is your past and it's not your future anymore. The truth is, I am going to make a change, and go off on the truth, because the truth will set you free. That's how you give yourself a dose of tough love. Woo! Talk about a process. And if you cry, hey, guess what? That's normal. And if emotions come up, hey, guess what? That's normal. Because that's called being human. Every single time I have upgraded the fuck out of my life. When I did it with my fitness, when I did it in my finances, when I did it with where I live, when I did it with every area of my life, my relationships, after my ex cheated on me, I did mirror work. I did exactly what I'm giving you right now. It's been the biggest pivotal shift in my life. That's some tough love that you can give yourself. And that's some self-love. That right there is the highest form of self-love possible. Seeing the truth of your situations, raising your standards, saying no more, and aligning to your higher self and your higher truth, and calling that up now and living that now as the present moment. After your self-love mirror talk, you have another piece of homework. You're going to think about the benefits and journal on the benefits of your old way of being. How your past thought process, how your past way of being served you in a positive way. That's a really weird question, right? Because you're like, okay, well, it didn't. I was miserable. How did it serve me? Well, you were addicted to that way of being for a reason. Maybe it kept you safe, so you didn't have to feel. Maybe it kept you safe so you didn't get yourself in a relationship again. Maybe it kept you safe from... A lot of times it's just, hey, you were safe. But did it give you connection because you were always throwing a pity party and you got to talk about your problems with other people and you connected on your problems? Look at it, because that's how you release it. You don't release the past by fighting it, by trying to push it away. You see it for how it served you and say, thank you for your time. Next. You served me because you were helping me do this thing. Oh no, here we go. Okay. You served me because you were helping me do this thing. Next. Cool. That's how you serve me, positive way. But hey, I'm going to choose to release you. And then also, there are some questions down below. I think it's below. I hope it's below. This video, and I want you to journal on those questions as well. So, your 3 pieces of homework, they're going to be written down below, but I'm going to say it again. Mirror talk. Go all out. Fully emote. Use your body. Use your voice. Use your emotions. Use your breath. Call yourself out. What are you proud of? And the truth is, embody it all. Give yourself that honesty and that connection to the truth. You'll feel alive and powerful afterwards. Trust me. Your homework is to write down what your past and the negative shit from your past, how did it positively benefit you? Why did you keep it around? Because you kept it around for a reason. Did it keep you safe? Did it help you come up with answers for things? Did it give you connection? Did it give you some variety because you were addicted to drama? Like, what did it give you the freedom to be emotional? Like, what did it give you positively? And that's a really tough question, but you'll find the answer to it. You probably already know the answer to it if you're honest with yourself. So there's a pattern here where you might start saying, well, I don't know, Kevin. I don't know. Because guess what? That's an old way of being, and I don't know keeps you safe. You know. Decide. Indecisiveness keeps you really safe. Because, yeah, see, I didn't commit. So I see so many people get caught up in indecisiveness. And we look at those people that are strong, the people that are actually making shit happen, the people that are in a committed relationship, and those people are so freaking happy because they committed. And they do know. The reason I made this program is because I committed to it. The reason you're in this program is because you committed to some degree. So you know. Don't lie to yourself again. You're done with that shit. And I'm not going to accept it around here. And then you're going to, okay, what was your old beliefs, right? And then you're going to answer some questions. I did type out some questions that are some really good, thought-provoking questions that are going to help you align even more to the truth on how you've been showing up in your love life and for your self-worth. So I'm going to leave you to that process. That is week 2. A new perspective, a new paradigm shift, and a dose of tough love. We're going to start deepening this process in week 3 and going forward to actually release your past conditioning, to heal your heart wounds, and to anchor to a lot more self-love. That stuff is coming up. Trust the process. I'm really excited for all of that because that's what's going to stop these patterns from routinely happening over and over again. And you don't deserve that shit anymore. We're done with it. I love you. I honor you for doing this process and for showing the fuck up for yourself for probably once in your life. And I wish you the most deep healing and anchoring to truth in that mirror talk, one of the most powerful things that I've ever done in my life. And you're about to experience it. I'll leave you to it. I love you guys so much. Put some heart into it.